Good afternoon, champions. Oh, this is a little bit further away. Do I sound quiet? It sounds quiet to me. It sounds like it's not coming through quite right. I feel like somebody might have been in here messing with my mic settings. Anyways, I have no idea why the countdown timer switched to 24 hours immediately after it was done for no reason. It has worked fine almost every episode so far. Hello, everybody. My name is Dylan, your friendly neighborhood lawful neutral Asmar cleric, and I am coming to you live from scenic Victoria, BC, Canada, where another box showed up. But first, I'd like to thank Dungeons & Dragons for allowing us to join you here each week on the official D&D Twitch channel. It is and will always be an honor to be here. And shout out to my remote co-producer, Erica, who is not here and is helping with all of your questions, moderation, and just things in chat because Erica is awesome. So huge thanks to Erica for that. There are no surprise guests today. There are it's just you and me and the box. Maybe a little bit of storytelling. So yeah, let's just get into this. It seems that I have a run that is still going. That I could have sworn all my potions of or my other potion of speed would have run out by now, but I guess I'll let it go super quick for a bit here. 435 idle, huh? I suppose that's not bad. Oh, oops. I just accidentally yanked the controller out of its socket. I'm like, why isn't this working? That's why it popped out. There we go. I can actually do stuff. Oh, yeah, 436. Still going. This is kind of a janky formation that I've just been experimenting with the new level cap and just trying to see what I can do. And this is like just an oddball cron formation that I have running with a Gromma tank. So that's happening. As for the box, I actually already know what's in the box. It's not really a secret this time because it's clearly labeled. So no special box cam this time around. It's a box. Wow. But it says on the side, product title, Critical Role Critters Pledge. So I'm pretty sure it's a Critical Role Kickstarter set of some kind. Some kind of Critical Role-y thing. Some of you may remember that they did a Kickstarter last year for not the crazy one with the gajillions of dollars, all for a bunch of for what was going to be a movie or a single episode, and now is a cartoon series. This is I'll start with the old one first. What's in this non-box that's not labeled? There's something in this one. Luckily, I brought something really sharp to cut into this with. I'm just going to close this window here because I don't need to click on a thing to see me. I know where I am. Luckily, I brought something sharp. Hey! All right. Smells like paints or something would be my guess based on the fumes immediately exiting this thing. Oh, there's more seams. More stuff to cut. So June 27th is actually a pretty interesting date for me personally. Something sharp other than my weight. Oh yeah, it is the other minis. The other minis. So we have here. I never watched the first Critical Role campaign, so I don't know who the other two characters are. So there's two characters here, along with 4 Pumat Sauls. Just the best shopkeeper ever. And then some other things here, including this. Who is it? Tyrion, Darrington, and Dottie. Tyrion, Dottie. Okay, thank you. And then we have this cool-looking Vox Machina, of which I know who Grog is, and Grog Scanlan and Vex and Vax, and I can't remember Percy, and I just don't know. I've only seen a few episodes of the first campaign, but it's a nice-looking set of minis here. Whew, they sure smell like freshly made minis. Keyleth, yes, the druid. And then this I do know, the Mighty Nine. Yeah. And the minis are really detailed. There's Ford, Caleb, Bo, not. It's not right, because they would have had the original one, not the new one. Taliesin's first character, Mollymock, and then Jester, Yasha, and the Kari, the guest star who played Shakasta. There's a Shakasta mini down here too. That's cool. These are really nice looking minis. Really detailed. Awesome work to whomever was. I have no idea who was even remotely responsible for sculpting that. I'll just put this knife back in the thing. It was cool to have that arrive basically immediately after the last box filled with the Beetle and Grimm Ghosts of Saltmarsh Sinister Silver Edition. It's real good, but be prepared to not have a life for 600 plus hours. Yeah, it's kind of that's the only thing that I find is a challenge is like, so I was lucky enough to hear about Critical Role and like in the lead up to the first campaign ending, which I didn't watch because I didn't know who any of the characters were, but it was nice to be able to just hop in to the first episode at the beginning of last year. My wife and I watch it sometimes, not every episode, but sometimes we like to spend our Thursday nights just chilling out, and watching Critical Role with all the other critters. It's a blast. Anyways, so that's what's in the box. Yeah, it's funny. I got a bunch of I got questions coming in, but also have a bunch of other stuff. So a little bit of story time. So June 27th is an interesting date for me. And I'm going to mess around with this formation while I'm telling this story. Because, what is this? Oh, I see. This is what a formation looks like when you don't use any ultimates. And you only have one familiar out. June 27th is an interesting date. So it's June 27th, 2019 today. On June 27th in 2009, in my previous life working in hospitality, I had an accident in work and broke a bunch of vertebrae in my spine. Which led to 18 months of recovery. Luckily enough, didn't sever anything, but there's permanent damage and broken vertebrae and a shredded disc in my lower back, which is why I slouch in my chair, which is why I have a special chair that's mine, and which is why a lot of things. I mean, I'm 2 inches shorter than I was before I had this accident, and it's like. So every time June 27th rolls around, I kind of remember, I'm like, okay, it's been 8 years since I've had this, 9 years since I've had this, 10 years today. It's what a different direction my life would have been in had it not happened. Because while I was starting to transition out of the hospitality industry at the time, 10 years ago, I hadn't made that leap yet. But suddenly I had a lot of time to think while I was bedridden and basically unable to move. For months. I'd had a roommate move in with me. I was living by myself just before this happened, and I had a roommate, one of my closest friends, who was actually my home DM. He moved in with me the week before this happened, helped him move in, went camping, had some vacation days, and then went into work and just crack. And it's a funny thing. I was carrying something heavy, but not too heavy. And just kind of like a twist to the lower back as I was moving, and just like the sound of wet celery cracking, just nothing. Didn't feel anything, didn't really notice it, but I was like, that was an odd sound, and like I wasn't sure what it was. And as it turns out, it was vertebrae cracking and sliding out of place and shredding a disc. But it doesn't immediately do anything because it's your body's reaction to it that really causes the pain. All the muscles in and around my lower back, my pelvic floor, that core part, like when people talk about core strength, like the lower part, just started to tense up. And, the first thing I noticed is, as a quite fit person at the time, because I was extremely active, it's just like, my back started to hurt. So I went, I went to talk to I was one of the managers at the place I worked at. But I went to the other one because I was a kitchen managing at the time. So I went to the front of house manager and told him what had happened. Asked him to fill out the requisite paperwork because we live in BC and there's a specific way you have to go about that stuff. Not just in BC, but in Canada. And I'm pretty sure every workplace. But asked him to fill out the paperwork, went home, woke up the next day. It was so much worse. Like the next day, it's like could barely stand, couldn't stand up straight. And it was weeks of seeing doctors from different walk-in clinics, which thankfully I didn't have to pay for because I do live in Canada. But like many different doctors, many different diagnoses until 3 weeks in, one of them's like, what did your x-ray say? This older gentleman who'd clearly been practicing medicine for, since World War II. I'm like, well, I didn't get an x-ray because they said that I pulled these muscles. And they're like, he's like, no. He's like, you should always get an x-ray for this kind of thing because pulling muscles is bad, but it heals relatively quickly. If, with something like this, he's like, you always get an x-ray. So I get an x-ray, and the next time I go in, he's like, I have bad news for you. Like, this is actually a really serious spinal injury. And it was like the amount of symptoms that I had were remarkable in that I could get up and move around and like was more or less able. But he's like, this is going to be like a lifestyle changing injury. Like your life is not going to be the same after this. Because it had happened at work, I was lucky enough to get fast tracked to getting a CT scan where they could, you could lie down on the tray in the hospital and get put through the machine that makes way more noise and super uncomfortable when you're in it. And they could get a really detailed view of the damage. And they found a whole bunch of stuff, including a birth defect that I didn't know that I had. And just damage, like damage from a life of doing contact sports and other, sort of like high adrenaline stuff that I, in retrospect, should never have done. But also, the severity of the injury was apparent, and it led to years of therapy. Just working through all kinds of stuff. Completely different, changed my lifestyle. Went back to school. Total different direction. And here I am, 10 years later. I work out with a specialist once a week, Thursday mornings, not coincidentally. So this morning I was working out with my specialist, just doing what I can to mitigate the effects of serious life-altering injury, which I will be doing forever because, from the age of 27, I have had the back of somebody who, is 40, 50 years older than I am. And it's not fun. Let me tell you. So if you see me at a con, you'll notice that I tend to, if I'm standing, I tend to shift back and forth a lot. And because I can't be comfortable just standing in one spot because the support in my spine isn't there. My spine's not straight anymore. So I will either be sitting or I will be constantly shifting around and constantly moving because if I'm walking or something, then it's fine. It doesn't really bother me. But standing in one place, just static, standing there, like talking to somebody, whatever I'm doing. It just like, because the spine is no longer straight, all the muscles there are trying to overcompensate holding what remains in place. And so it just gets tenser and tenser and tenser and tenser. And then eventually it reaches the point where the muscles are not happy with you anymore. And it starts to spasm, which is excruciating. And like there's a level of pain all the time with this kind of chronic injury. Like, I live with chronic pain now. That's a part of my being, but it can vary to degrees wildly, and sometimes it affects your mood and you don't notice because hey, you woke up feeling like crap. But here I am 10 years in. My life, honestly, in every conceivable other measurable way, is better than it has ever been. But yeah, I live with a lot of pain, and today is the day that it reminds me of it because 10 years ago this morning, this happened. So that's my story. I don't know about this formation. I get the static DPS is decent, but I'm not sure. Not sure if I like it otherwise. So, getting into the questions. Tyrone Cash for Money. Today's patch sure fixed a lot of things. Good. I'm glad. That's something that I'm sure Dave and the other developers have been working on, fixes and stuff. We'll be happy to hear. I know Dave was talking about pushing out some stuff today to try and address some issues. So I'm glad that happened for you, Tyrone Cash for Money. Every time I read that name, I think of commercials. like television commercials. Lisa, what's your opinion of some of the underused champions, especially year 2, that received very little with this upgrade cap? Specifically looking at Donar, Wolfgar, Rosie, Warden, Neris. On the opposite side, Zorbu got a very appropriate buff, which was well needed. So there's a couple aspects to this. I can't speak to all of it because I'm not Justin, and Justin put this in, and he had said that the idea behind it was to more or less maintain the status quo, but to maybe make some minor adjustments here and there. So it was never intended to be like a meta redefining patch. That being said, some champions are intended to be looked at with some of the balance updates coming up relatively soon, and so like this shouldn't be approached as a balance patch, because it's not intended to be a balancing patch. It is simply an upgrade cap increase. Now, you kind of want to keep all the numbers relatively similar across all of them, because you need to be able to measure other aspects of the game against each other, right? Like if it's a times 32 bonus for one character, you kind of want to be doing times 32 bonuses for everybody, because if you are already overcompensating in the upgrades, then it just makes it that much more challenging when you go back to trying to tweak or rebalance a specific character. So the Raveler, what is he playing on? The interface is different from PC. This is PC. In Steam, you are able to access the gamepad UI. You can just go into your settings menu. I'll just let my guys die. You go into your settings, and there's a toggle for display in gamepad UI mode. If you toggle it, it'll let you confirm, and then it will shut down your client. And then when you reboot it, it will be in the other one from what you're toggling it from. You do need a gamepad plugged in order for this to work. So, yeah. Next question. Can we get something similar to the way Usurp is for bulk up? Which one's bulk up again? Oh, the other ability. So you want Usurp power. I mean, they're intended to be functionally different. One of them is like if it's a formation where Archon's at the very front, and the other one is, you're completely building your formation around where Archon is so he could steal the most possible power. So I'm not sure what you mean by a similar way to show it. Yeah. I think I need a little bit more clarity, Ted Faster, because I think I am interpreting your question incorrectly. In the formation buff tab. Okay, yeah. I'll make a note of it to pass to the devs, but I don't know if anything comes out. Let's see. Legendary Dragon Walnut is a character in D&D. I wonder if she is in Idle Champions. Soon, TM. Let's see. I just recently joined the game, and I was wondering if there will be a way to get the rewards for the higher rewards in the C-Team Weekly Challenge after the event has ended. I won't be able to get a lot of them since I can't make up the lost points from older weeks. That's not something that we're planning. So there's a couple parts to it. First, there are quite a few more points available than there are rewards. Like if you had started playing at the very beginning and you haven't missed anything, you will reach the last rewards before the weekly challenges are done. To give some leeway for people who play a little bit more casually or who join late. That being said, we don't right now have any plans for other ways to earn the higher tier rewards outside of the weekly challenges. Depending on when you joined, you should still be able to get Champion Ashara and Donar's Kronar Golden Epic, which also unlocks Donar if you don't already have him. Alright, Shatterhand. Thanks a bunch for the recent DPS meter changes. Practically stress-free to play now. All the best to everybody involved. Thank you. Yeah, I wasn't, personally in any way involved in creating those changes, but it's something that our dev team had talked about quite a lot for a while, and it's nice to see it implemented in a way that's making players happy. Yeah, we're really stoked about it. Nomad84, not a question, just wanted to say thanks again for talking through some of the design philosophy regarding balance passes in the Q&A. No problem. Yeah, I mean, I can only share what I have insight into. Certainly, Justin or Chris, but mostly Justin since he handles the vast majority of it, can better describe a lot of it. I was just speaking in very general terms, but yeah, it's nice to be able to. There's a lot of stuff that we can't share for various reasons, so it's nice to be able to share, at least the mindset behind things, if not the exact reasoning. Let's see. I am joining midstream, so forgive me if covered. I will rewatch the stream from start if I need it. Please go over the DPS breakdown window, for example, base, running average. Well, I'm playing in the gamepad UI, so mine's a little bit different. But yeah, it's what is it? It's this one. I haven't actually looked at it on here yet. Average DPS damage, calculated DPS. I mean, it's at its essence, and this would be something better to have Justin describing than me because it's not something that I spend a lot of time with. But I mean, I figure it's kind of self-explanatory. I mean, there's the average DPS, which is just a DPS average per character based on how much damage they're doing per second, how often they swing, etc. There's just the damage. This is how hard they hit. Calculated DPS. I'm not sure what this one is supposed to represent. There's a lot of complicated equations in the background of this, of which I know nothing about. So somebody like Silisa or Garwar might have a better insight outside of CNE, but it's definitely, this is something that Justin and Mark and the devs and so on all cooked up. But yeah, it's funny. So, I mean, the intent behind it is to make it easier for you to analyze the data around your formation and decide whether or not you're actually making improvements to it when you're swapping champions in and out. And there are a lot of variables to keep track of, right? Like from the how often champions swing, to which buffs they're getting, to how hard they're hitting, to what enemies they're hitting, to debuffs possibly on those enemies, other different situational buffs and criteria, and so on. And like it gets complicated and difficult to track really fast. So we just kind of, when players say that they're looking for ways to better identify their more optimal formation setups for themselves. It's something that is difficult to do at a glance. And so the intent behind a tool like this is to provide something for you that will help you better make those decisions. So I don't know. I mean, I hope that helps. It's like, it's not just an answering the question, but it's kind of the best I can do. Can a future champion with a gold find boost have the ability to be called the Ecstasy of Gold? Throw that at the design team. So, I mean, I am also a huge fan of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and also Metallica, who open with the Ecstasy of Gold when they play their live shows, which is rad. That's such a good track. Ennio Morricone is a legend. I don't know what they'll think. I don't know. I mean, I'll pass it along. I mean, we like fitting pop culture references when possible, but we are also trying to adhere to, a pretty specific idea of what the Forgotten Realms is, and canon wherever possible. So it's not always an option for us to change things up. What should I be doing? I suppose I should probably actually be favor farming, right? What's a good Dragon Heist formation these days? I'm just gonna go into Mysterious Summons and start this up. I'll kill this dog first. Plunk. Alrighty. So, what should I make? What kind of formation? Let me know what kind of formation I should make, and I'll get on that in a second. Let's see. If you have a character like that turtle, I have no gear, and as well Stokey. Is there a way to get gear? So, assuming you are playing the game for free and not intending to spend any money at all, there's a handful of ways you can earn equipment for your champions. So, obviously the evergreen unlocks Hitch, Azaka, and Dritz, as well as the core 12 champions. You can get all their stuff out of gold chests. event champions that come out, you can get chests from their events. So playing their events is always going to be the best way to earn equipment for them. Time gates open up on weekends in between events, which is to say there'll be one opening up tomorrow for the weekend. So depending on your luck with that, you may find a champion that you want out of there. You can unlock them and get a couple of gold chests for them. And there are weekend buffs that change every weekend that come around that also you get one free chest from in your newsletter, assuming you're signed up, which you should sign up for the newsletter if you haven't already, because you get Hitch. And Hitch, while not as gloriously OP as he was at launch, is still a really good, functional, and important member of most formations, or many formations. So that's how you can get gear for them. You can also upgrade item levels through blacksmith contracts. So, I hope that helps. Wade Wilson, 1983. Are there going to be more weekly challenges added after week 10? I'm really enjoying them. We don't at this time have plans to extend weekly challenges beyond week 10. Though we are eager for feedback. I mean, this is the second time we've done something like this. The previous time being with High Rollers Rogue's Gambit at the end of last year. So if you're liking it, we'd like to hear more about what you think. So yeah. Oh, and I before somebody asks, I'm sure somebody will. We've been doing good fortune, bad fortune voting since the start, and that changed yesterday to something much more nebulous. And they're going to be more nebulous from here on out. Those two choices, I don't want to hazard to guess their names off the top of my head because I'll probably get it wrong. I'll just pull up the menu. These two choices, Amaranthine and Team Naiad. These were picked by Ominous. Fuck. Omendron. Like, I don't know. Ominous. Omen something. Herowardron. Omendron himself. They were picked by Jerry Holkins to be relevant for upcoming episodes. So, we don't know what people are voting for. I'm going to go with Team Naiad because it's in the bad formation spot, or the bad fortune spot. And they're going to be different from here on out every week as they get towards their season finale. So, yeah, pretty cool. Yeah. Will there be a double gem weekend coming? We don't have plans to do that, no. Any chance of the more unique rewards from the game's first birthday celebration making a return this year? I'd love to get the Mimic familiar. It's too early to be talking about what we're going to be doing for our anniversary week. But I'll take your feedback to Chris. I know he's still planning that kind of stuff. So, yeah. Let's see. Which specialization should one pick if Neris's spiritual weapon hits the hardest? Spiritual weapon is a melee attack. Yeah. So not a magical attack, it's a melee. Which is funny because it's a magical melee attack, right? It's kind of just one of those things. I guess that's just the type that Mark picked, but if you play 5e, spiritual weapon, it hits for force damage, but you make a weapon that bonks people, so... Yeah. One crit botch. Do you recommend getting blessings from all favors to get that first level major X2 overall campaigns, or focusing on one? Spread the love or focus love? So those first blessings that you get, where's the blessings menu on the gamepad UI? The defending Waterdeep and legendary champions and double damage. Those global blessings, I aimed for those first, just because each one of them buffs you everywhere as opposed to just in specific campaigns. Global blessings are awesome. Yeah, I mean, eventually you'll have tons of favor and you'll be able to blow through all of them and get tons of stuff. But the global blessings are super awesome because each global blessing you get is going to help you get other stuff from each campaign, right? So, let's see. Which affiliations currently get affiliation bonuses, and will all the affiliations eventually get bonuses if they don't already? So right now, there are bonuses for champions who are members of the C Team, the Companions of the Hall, and the Waffle Crew. This isn't something that we intend to do for everybody all the time. Obviously, the Companions of the Hall are going to get a rework, and there's one more member of the C team to add. But then, of course, like Acquisitions Incorporated is more than the C team, right? I mean, what do we do in the event that characters from other Acquisitions Incorporated teams ever join the game? If that happens. I'm not saying it happens, but what if it happened? It's not something that we want to always do because we don't want to get it to the point where players feel like they have to use affiliated groups in order to progress, in order to play. But at the same time, we want to make sure that we are at least, in some cases, acknowledging synergies between characters who have history together. I mean, obviously, the Companions of the Hall have done a lot together, right? So basically, it's kind of like a case-by-case basis. We don't intend to do it for all of them all the time. But when there's a strong enough case, we like to do it if we can. So I know that doesn't really answer your question, Smiley Jersey, but that's kind of, it's not something that we intend to focus on exclusively, but don't be surprised if it pops up more, but it's not something that we necessarily want to do all the time. Let's see. Cowboy Lemonhead. That's a good name. I want powerful formations, but with my favorite characters. I'm in it for the fandom, so playing without Dritz is pointless for me personally. Fair enough. You'll be happy to know that Dritz will be getting a lot better relatively soon. Amadeus 9999. It's like a Final Fantasy crit. Why does Ashar's buff say it adds E9 damage, but actually does less than Evelyn's buff of E5? I'm not really sure what you mean there, Amadeus. I mean, the buff numbers you see in the game are based off of your equipment and your formations, and so they will change depending on where characters are in the formation. So, I mean, there's a lot of factors that I don't know about your setup in order to gauge what you're seeing, but that's certainly some of it. Like, it takes a lot of things into account when it says those things. What is the projected boost in levels from this soft cap increase? That's a great question, Giant Dwarf. I mean, it's going to vary by user. The gold costs went from roughly E49 to E56. So I would personally expect to see players. I'm just trying to think about what my progress has been. It's been 50 to 100 areas-ish, depending. And it depends on what you're getting hung up on. Like, is it a DPS check at a boss that's getting you killed? Or, it's like there's a few parts to it. So, but that's what my progress was. I mean, results are gonna vary from person to person. I'll see if Justin has an intended target for how far that progress is. I'll just make a note for it right now, and then maybe Erica can connect with Justin while I'm doing this. Black Viper formation. Black Viper formation. All right, Giant Dwarf. I can do that. Let's see. I actually go with Regis for my Black Viper formations. Bum, 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 bum. Who doesn't love Paulton? Keelik. Gotta have at least one tank. Bum, 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 bum. Okay, so I'm probably going to have to make Spurt into Nayeli or Grama. I'll go with Grama. And then I can move Kathris back and put Black Viper in. Wait, that's Farida. Here we go. Boom. Collector, because I think I'm at like 4,000 or 5,000. I forget what adventure I put in here. So, is it Aberrations? I forget. Moonbeam. Dark Blessing. I suppose I probably... Well, this is a little more interesting. Protection. Powered. Arctic. Head. Melee. And Kithris. Velvet Touch. Alrighty, we'll see how this handles. Well, I mean, if I don't speed this up, you're never gonna see the end of it this stream. So I don't want to use a huge potion of speed. I'll use one large. Let it roll. And then I will dump some familiars on everybody to level them. Now, Evelyn always gets Juniper. That's a rule. You can't break it. Since Black Viper shares a spot with Minsk, she gets Boo. Everybody else, it doesn't really matter, but Kithris likes things that are ugly, so he gets Iris. Zorbu gets a bunny. Tyrell gets a fairy. Makos gets a black cat. What does Paulton get? Mage Hand to represent Handrew. Grama gets... Fairy Dragon. Regis gets a Chwinga, which gives Keelik a little dragon. Yeah, that works for me. Alright. Look at those levels fly. Boom. Cool. Cool. Alrighty, so there's a Black Viper formation that... I mean, we'll see how good it ends up being, but I'll let it roll for a while. Oh, it's that awesome glitch where Kithris's Shadow Demon's summoning and unsummoning itself. That's awesome. Alrighty, so I have a response for the question, Giant Dwarf. Justin says, and Erica wrote this in as J-Dog says, I would expect between E20 to E20 more DPS for your formation, depending on the champions, so 40 to 60 more areas. Cool. Alrighty, so next questions. Harping on the question, I wonder if there are any ideas from the dev team for making different ways to upgrade your gear levels rather than random contracts. Is it also truly random, or does it prioritize your highest color gear? It's truly random. So, yes, the dev team does have other ideas on different ways to upgrade equipment and item levels and event champion chests and stuff, but we don't have anything to share on it because as soon as we start even talking hypothetically about stuff that we might consider doing, there's always going to be some players who think that's what we are doing, and then all of a sudden we get hounded every time we talk about anything, asking us when that thing is coming. And that's we don't want to do that here, and we don't want to unintentionally set any improper expectations. So, yeah. The Mom Unit. The C-Team event is much better in my opinion. The High Rollers one stressed me out so much. But to be honest, I think the challenges could be a little bit tougher. We'll take your feedback. I mean, the intent was that this would be a little bit less stressful and easier to accomplish than the High Rollers Rogues Gambit like daily, weekly quests. So we're glad you're liking it. So yeah. If you don't have any guests and you're looking for something to do, how about a trial? Well, it's a little bit late for that, Mars, but thanks for the feedback. And welcome back. And nice work on your Azaka thing. Oh, Mighty Dylan, any plans for Azamar characters? Much as Frida wants more tiefling buddies, it'd be nice to see the other side of that coin. I agree wholeheartedly. My home campaign character is an Azamar cleric named Kellen, who is a Death Domain cleric, the subclass in the Dungeon Master's Guide, who is very lawful neutral. Not to the point of indifference, but so much as like full on invested in the balance. Oh man, we've had some good times in the Tomb of Annihilation. I don't want to spoil anything for anybody who hasn't played the Tomb of Annihilation, so you can cover your ears for the next 10 seconds. But wait a second, and then okay, cool. But when you're going through the Tomb of the Nine Gods, you can get possessed by different Omuan trickster gods, and I got possessed by what's the name of it? The Almirage. Which has set my dexterity to 23, whereas previously it was 10. So I'm a very nimble, armored death domain cleric right now. Who, yeah, I mean, I almost one-shot a zombie T-Rex. It was awesome. But I have a Sunblade, so
you know, Death Domain Cleric, past, level 8, extra necrotic damage, things can't resist it. Can do Channel Divinity for extra necrotic damage on top of that. Can hit an undead thing, get a bunch of extra radiant damage. You see how it goes. But yeah, we're having so much fun. I mean, we're going to start dying pretty quick because, like, our party is a little bit mangled. But yeah, we're having so much fun. Alrighty. That was a total segue where I talked only about myself. Do we have any active plans for Asmar characters? There's one on our radar. It's not something that you see a lot of in the known lore champion lore character stuff, right? Like, I agree wholeheartedly that we need at least one Asmar sometime soon. I would like to see one of each of the 3 Asmar subraces, just because an Asmar that can get glowing angelic wings, and an Asmar that gets skeleton wings, and one that just radiates radiant fire would be interesting. In the past event, players were able to score significantly more points by finishing missions for the first time. The final reward was a super sexy shiny potions. Is the mechanic of finishing new missions something that we will see again in the future? No, at least not like that. We're not. We got a lot of feedback about that, and it's one of the reasons why we've changed our challenges and stuff the way that we have. We're not planning on, once again, rewarding the newest players much more exclusively than veteran players who've already completed all the content. We want people to have equal chances on it. So, yeah. All right. So, what's about Ashara and Birdsong? I don't really know what that question means, Soul Reaver. What is more important, gold chests or familiars? That depends on a lot of things. If you are decked out in all epics across your core and evergreen champions, then yeah, familiars are more important. However, if you're newer to the game, gold chests are huge. After you've opened enough silver chests to make sure that you have equipment on all the slots of all your core and evergreen champions, you're going to want to be opening gold chests until everybody has purple everything, all epic equipment. So depending on how you play, that's kind of like what familiars do, right? Like, they have a bigger impact on how your personal approach to playing the game. If you find it valuable to have a familiar clicking for you, get one. I mean, certainly the lowest tier 1, that's only 1,000 gems, and then the next one up I think is like 10,000. Sorry, I bought them so long ago, I'm trying to remember what the costs are. The lower tier ones, yeah, that seems like relatively safe investments in my mind. The higher tier ones are like, you've got all that stuff, you're grinding away, you've got an excess number of gems, then you can justify paying for Boo and Juniper. All right. What's up with Neris' spiritual weapon not counting for base ultimate damage? Seems a bit odd, makes her entirely less desirable as a sport these days. I mean, it's just, a lot of the pieces of the game have come together in different ways, trying to do different things in different tech over the course of the iterations of the game. So I wouldn't say that I don't know if that's something that is intended to be or stay that way, but, there will be a reasoning for it that, well, I'm sure Mark would know it, but that Justin or Dave could pass along to me. Let's see. Could we get more halflings, dwarves, gnomes, and other short folk in other slots that don't have them? I agree. And also, more monsters races. I mean, I know we just got a lizard folk, but like, I want a bugbear. I want a triton. I want a goblin and a hobgoblin. Let's full on monster it up. I mean, all those other fantasy races are just too popular. Let's see. You knew this question would come at some point, but can we get a sneaky peek at the weekend champions? By the way, I love the Binwin skin from last weekend. Nice touch. Thanks. Yeah, we're glad you like it. This weekend's promo. So last I checked, this weekend's promo hadn't even been made yet. It may have been made now. So let's have a look. I don't have that info. Yeah. Hashtag blame Chris. It's not that it hasn't been done, but there's a place where we keep a lot of that information as it's getting ready to get put into the game. and it's not there yet. Chris, who's working from home right now, hope you're feeling better, buddy. So yeah, I actually can't pass that along. Sorry. Is there a way to see how many of Gromma's spiked shell stacks is on an enemy? Any plans to make multiple debuffs on a target easy to read? I wasn't under the impression that Gromma's spiked shell did stack. I thought it didn't. I thought the one that stacked was Warden's Hex, but I could be wrong. Now that being said, so we're approaching larger and larger numbers of debuffs in our game, as well as buffs, and coming up with new icons and stuff to display for each thing. So I could make a note for the dev team about that, because I don't know what their plan is. I know that every time a champion comes out who could potentially have some kind of buff indicator, there is there's at least a mild discussion, but usually a discussion around, do they need it? Like, is it something that has to be seen all the time? Like, how much do players need that info, etc. So, it's something that gets evaluated on a champion by champion basis, and like it fluctuates a bit. So, I can pass that note along to the dev team, because I know that between that and like struggling to see your tank's health and stuff, like there are a couple things there that are a little bit harder to see. So I'll pass it along to them. No promises. The pink coins that are dropping Legendary Dragon are from Cathris, to signify the coins that he is skimming out of the party's gold in order to summon demons. Will Ashara eventually get a Lizard Folk bond? I can't comment on that, but I can say that it's fully possible that Ashara may get more or different bonds in the future, but it's not something that we're looking at right now. Size 7. How are you at 4,000 to 5,000 red gems? You just play and reset a lot. Yeah, I have been using Black Viper for a while now. Like there are hardcore players who are way ahead of me. I know somebody in the Discord the other day was talking about how they'd hit 10,000, or they were about to hit 10,000, and then they were going to shelf Black Viper until she gets an update, which is like mind blowing. But yeah, I have almost exclusively used Black Viper as a DPS since she was introduced. Let's see. As I said, I really like the weekly challenges. It gives me something to focus on and has been getting me out of some of my character usage ruts. The prizes are great, but honestly, even just having the things to do by themselves, for me at least, have been awesome. Yeah, thank you. I'll pass that along. It's nice to see that players are enjoying these weekly challenges a lot. Alrighty. When I started the game and went offline, I got some kind of rested speed up when I started up again. But since a few days, I don't get it anymore. Why is this? Well, Ryk Henry, my guess is that you are playing on tablet, or on some kind of mobile device. In which case there is a rested speed buff that if you've left the game off for a long period of time and you load it back up again, it speeds up a whole bunch. And this is in order to make up for the fact that leaving the game running on a tablet or a mobile device, which both kills your battery and uses up a lot of memory, is something that we didn't anticipate tablet and mobile players ever doing, and so we created a speed up mechanic where the timer for your fast movement is based on how long you've been offline. So you've been playing a lot in recent days, then of course no, you're not going to get it. It's a speed buff that shows up when you leave the game off for long stretches of time. How about something on the lore on D&D, because I love your game and know the lore not so much. So I am far from what I would consider to be a lore expert. I mean, I read games. I read the TRPG books when they come out. There's a few that I haven't because I don't want them to be spoiled for me, because I want people to be able to DM them for me or whatever. Something about the lore of D&D. So every 17 cycles, A cycle being, oh god, what does a cycle work out to in terms of units of time on Mechanus? Somebody in chat will probably know. But every 17 cycles, Primus, the leader of the race of Modrons in this clockwork plane of existence, sends out a contingent of Modrons to explore the lesser planes, well, just the planes in general. And so Modrons, they're like little clockwork automaton people, I guess. They have a purely hierarchical society with Primarch at the top, and Primarch is like the embodiment of neutrality, just the most lawful neutral thing to ever be a lawful neutral ever. It's just like, yeah. Primarch obviously craves information, and so he sends his Modrons out every 17 cycles, and I think it works out to like 180 or 260 years or something on the Favorinian calendar, and they just kind of like they march along through all the planes, and he sends out thousands, and a handful of them make it back each time, and they take the same path every time they go, which is a little bit bonkers, but hey, so like if you saw Modrons march through a valley at one point, don't build a town there, because the next time they do their march, they're coming through the same spot. And if you built a town there, they will go through that town, whether that means, murdering their way through, or, disassembling everything that's in their way. They just kind of interpret that issue as they see it. 289 years, says R. Ware Hall. I'll take your word for it. But so they do that. And it's just kind of like this bizarre thing. Like, they just do that every once in a while. It's weird. Anyways, it's one of my favorite bits of information related to like just random D&D lore, because there's an old module called March of the Modrons, or the Great Modron March, or some combination of marching and Modroning for Planescape. And I made the case to our team, and by our team I mean Justin. I made the case to him, like, hey, we should do this as one of our events, and now it is one of our events. It's the end of May, early June event, in which you can unlock Evelyn Marthane and Keelik Ed Kalar. Yeah, Snacker the Shark, with the exact same number of Modrons, done in the same period of years, taking the exactly same amount of time. Yeah, it's just like clockwork. All right, I'm moving on. I'm about to join a new tabletop campaign. Thinking of running a Tiefling Bard, but I'm trying to get the DM to let me rock him with a trident instead of a simple weapon. So far, losing the fight. I don't know why somebody would just let him do that. But I mean, if you want to play the devil with a trident, I mean, first of all, you can have a trident either way, right? You can have a weapon you're not proficient with. No need to min-max. I find like Tieflings and Bards are so popular. I mean, so I never play a Tiefling because of how popular they are, but I kind of want my next character to be one. They're very interesting. Just since Mordenkainen, or Mordenkainen, depending on how you say it, Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes came out, they have the different Tiefling variants for every one of the layers of the Nine Hells. And it's very cool because it allows you to have just a better idea of like which demonic way should you be playing your which devilish way, I should say, not demonic. Which devilish way should you be playing your Tiefling? And it's like if they would have something that is like innately a part of themselves that leans in a specific direction. Like if you're one of Glazia's Tieflings, then you lean towards being manipulative. So yeah, it's very interesting. Krillili. So the title is obviously a spoiler for the new Aasimar champion, right? No, it's Dylan couldn't think of a title for today because there was no guest. It's just Dylan, and so he wrote down what he puts as his title on the Idle Champion subreddit, which is Aasimar Cleric. Which is the reason I did that is, yes, it's the character I play in my home campaign as an Aasimar Cleric, but it's actually because my official Codename Entertainment job title does not fit in the flare. So I went like, oh, that doesn't fit. Well, if I'm not going to use it, then I went with the one that my D&D character uses. So yeah. So it's not referencing a champion currently in development. Sorry. Alrighty. Will there ever be any psionic characters? Maybe. I am new to the game. Is there a way in the UI to see the stacks or amounts of the buffs? For example, Bruner's Fieldmaster. Yes, depending on which version of the game you're in. If you're playing in the regular mouse and keyboard interface on either tablet or PC through Steam or Mac through Steam or WebGL, in the character screen you can kind of scroll through incoming buffs and see those numbers. It doesn't tell you the number of stacks, but it tells you what the amount is. Well, actually, no. For some of them, it tells you the number of stacks, but yeah, it tells you the amount. Martypedia. While we're talking about branching out with races, Nova from High Rollers is an Air Genasi. That's 1 out of 4 sub-races down. You are absolutely right, Martypedia, and I have been pushing for Nova to be the next High Rollers Aeros character to add to the game. I don't know if that'll be the case because there's quite a few other variables behind the scenes that also impact lining up of when characters are coming. So I don't know if Nova will be the next one. But Nova, you know what it is I just love the design. Like, as soon as I saw the character art, I'm like, that character looks awesome. We got a bunch of Warlocks, though, so I don't know. I mean, maybe Sentry will be the next one, or Lucius. We'll see. I don't know. Is there an aim for how many champions will eventually be in the game, or will they just keep increasing through time, tending to infinity? Well, I mean, there's an infinite amount of creativity out there. And certainly there are lots more characters to come. So do we have an intended end number of champions? No. Will this game last forever? Well, it'll last as long as we can make it last. We would like it to keep going. So just keep playing it, and the game will keep being here, and we'll keep adding to it. Whose cleric is your Asmar cleric? So my Asmar cleric, his name is Kellen Voss, and he is a Protector Asmar Death Domain cleric, and I'm actually going to pull up my D&D Beyond for him. And I can just link him. People can have a look. View. Yeah, he's got a couple custom items, I think. Yeah, there's a couple custom items on his sheet that were just stuff that my DM came up with. Creations. Where's the button for the link? Shareable link. Copy. Yeah, so Flunk. There, I linked it in chat, and then you'll hear me saying this 10 seconds after it showed up. Yeah, he's pretty good. I'm really enjoying him. Yeah, and the reason his dex is so insanely high is because he's possessed. In case anybody's wondering, it's normally 10. So, yeah. Alrighty, next question. I've been playing for a year and had the chance to collect almost all of the champions, but I feel sad to use only 9 or 10 each adventure. What is the point to not allow parallel adventures? That's kind of an interesting phrasing. Like, asking us what the point is to not allow other things is not really the right way to ask it. Because it's not about not allowing people to do something with the characters they've collected. It's that we are still working on features, and we want characters you are not using to have a purpose other than just sitting on your bench. But I don't have anything to share on the development of said features because it's still too early to talk about those things. Can we play on multiple platforms using the same account? I mainly play through Steam, but it would be nice to play on my phone if I'm traveling, especially with these weekly challenges. We do not have plans to introduce any kind of cross-platform play at this time. As a smaller company, this is me speaking as Dylan, as a smaller indie dev game company, cross-platform play is something that only the real big fish really get to do. It's crazy expensive to do, and the platforms don't all necessarily play nice with each other. Like, Sony made a they were like, okay, yeah, Fortnite can do it, but they mostly don't even let people do it at all, hardly, for PS4. They're like opening up a little bit, but like it's kind of, you have to make sure all the stakeholders are happy in order for you to do that kind of thing. But like if you do everything through your own launcher, like Blizzard does, that kind of thing's a little easier. So yeah, are we ever going to do cross-platform play with Idle Champions and Forgotten Realms? Highly unlikely. Question: any tips on doing On the Hunt? I don't remember which one On the Hunt is. Yeah. So if you could let me know. Oh, I see Giant Dwarfs trying to archers taking place of champions. Oh yeah. I mean, really, there's kind of a general rule for all the adventures where you have other characters taking up your formation. Is like, who are your best geared, most powerful champions, and how are you able to pare them down into the most optimized small number of them? The more gear you have, the better. You will need to do some active play for any variants where the characters taking up your formation slots move around. But yeah, you want to use the most efficient small number of characters you can. Like, while this Black Viper formation is okay right now, if you took a couple characters out of it, like you had a fewer buffers for your Black Viper or for whatever character, it's like, well, what characters shine but lack the support to have a full 10-person formation? Because like that's when champions, like I think I might have used a Delina formation for my On the Hunt, because Delina is good but lacks a wide range of supports. But if you could only have a couple of supports, then you could probably get ones that are awesome for her, in which case maybe she does shine better than somebody else. So yeah, that's kind of the thing. Delina needs Surge Stack display because the only way to make her new ult worked effectively. I'll make a note for that for the devs. And then I'm going to close this window that's telling me to talk to me. I'm here. I'm right here. I'm not going to ask myself questions. At what point will you see the game as out of early access? When they hit the button saying that it's out of early access, that's when I will see it as out of early access. But no, more seriously. So this is a question we get fairly regularly, and Justin, when he was most recently on stream, had an answer for it. He basically, there are a number of things we want to accomplish in terms of the design of this game, features we want to implement, things we want players to be able to do that need to be in it before we will consider it complete enough to consider taking it out of early access. And so that's what we're working our way towards right now. That's not a definitive answer for your question, but it's the best we can do. Evil Emperor Zerg. Grungs. Bangarang for Idle Champions. Well, so why Bangarang? Why not one of the other grungs from One Grung Above? There's a few there. Chechak. Hi Dylan, happy to see you. Welcome. Happy to have you join. HK47 Terror. So I can't not read this in HK47's voice from Knights of the Old Republic, which was a phenomenal game. The sequel was still awesome, like the combat and stuff was way better, but the story wasn't quite as good. That whole Revan Malak storyline for Knights of the Old Republic is like still, in my mind, the best Star Wars story that's ever been told. Anyways, suggestion: exhibition/bounties send heroes that you don't plan to use for a duration of time. They go to gather a resource or do something else. Yeah, so we've had that suggestion before. Mission systems, that kind of thing, adventure systems, side questing, etc. Yeah, there are. If that was a direction we wanted to go in, like what we would want to know is like, what are we going to do differently? What can we do differently to make it interesting in a different way? Because we don't want to just cookie cutter features from either like Crusaders of the Lost Idols or other games directly into Idle Champions. Like we would want to do something unique and new, hopefully. So it's a good suggestion, and we like where your head's at. But yeah, we're kind of like, well, what else can we do with it? It needs to be something really interesting. Obo crazy because purple grung is best grung. Welcome, Lauren. Suggestion: it'd be nice that NPCs like those archers to be buffable by the party. Like, it'd be neat if the archers could be buffed by Zorbu, because what archer shouldn't have at least 15 dexterity? Well, I mean, 15 dexterity is pretty legendary among archers. I mean, there's such thing as people who are just mediocre archers. But like I'll give you like like 12 to 14 dex in terms of like somebody who's training for that specifically. Yeah. DC Backroads. Hey Dylan, thanks for the level cap increase. You're welcome. I mean, it was 100% Justin designing it. I imagine it would have been Mark implementing it, but I could be wrong. But yeah, you're welcome. We're glad you're liking it. Can we get a screen resize option? My TV doesn't display the whole screen. I will pass it along to David, and then I'll shake my fist at him when I step out of the streaming room. If he doesn't walk by the streaming window and shake his fist at me first. Yeah. Alrighty. Purple grung sounds like a mixed drink. Gentlemanly reminder that the fine folk of your player base wish for Dark Sun and or Ravnican champions. I hear you. I also wish for it. We don't have any plans for that in the next few champions. Yeah. But we hear you. Yeah, there's also there's a couple cool, really cool playable races in Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica, right? Like there are Minotaurs, there are Loxodon, who, for those of you who don't know, are big elephant folk who have +2 con, +1 wisdom, and they're just awesome. They're perfect for making some kind of cleric or druid. And Simic, who are super interesting, weird hybridy half monster people that you can evolve in different ways as they level, which is super neat. And Vidalcan, who are dispassionate science humanoids. Anyways, it's some interesting stuff. I think Vidalcan might be a little OP because they get advantage on a bunch of different types of saves. Can we get a screen resize? Oh yeah, no, I already read that one. Alrighty, what do we got? You know what we also need? Everyone to get a fuzzy animal costume like Minsk. Just imagine Makos in an Almirage suit. I will pass that along to our art team because that's funny and awesome. We'll see what they think. Oh, that's a long question, Wade Wilson. Give me a second. Oh, sorry, my back is starting to get a little stiff. I've been sitting for too long. Usually, I would have gotten up and moved around by now, but I am on stream, so. I'm just going to adjust this again. There, that's better, isn't it? Isn't that better? Alrighty. In the vein of side quests for characters who aren't in use, perhaps personalized downtime activities, like treat it as a character passive ability that is only active while they are not in the formation. The flavor of each would be specific to each character, but mechanically it would break down to timed resource generation. Either passive gold, potions, contracts, or something along those lines. Obviously, items would take far longer to generate, then make it so that you only get the items... Oh, I see it cuts off. Looks like you ran out of a character space, Wade Wilson. You only get the items that ended up being way more words and stream of consciousness than I meant to be. So I can't... Fair enough. I like the direction you're going in. And I will pass your stream of consciousness along to Justin and Chris and the devs to see what they think about it. I don't know. I mean, no guarantees, obviously, but... it might touch on some ideas or help enforce an idea that they're already working on, in which case that would be awesome. Have we had a Savants of the Dark Tide enemy-based quest yet? I remember playing a while back and fighting sorcerers like the Nexel Vindelic, and I can't say that other one. Avidna Delinskin as boss types to take on, but don't remember ever seeing either name in the game as of yet. That's a great question. I don't know. You asked me a question I just straight up don't know, Jokers Forever. I don't think we have. I'm just going to do a quick search on something. Oh, it had Aboleth. We've never had an Aboleth in Idle Champions. And Aboleths are... I mean, you don't mess with Aboleths. Huh. So thank you for suggesting this, Jokers Forever. I'm going to pass this along to Chris. Yeah, I'm going to pass it along to Chris. Alrighty. Next thing. Perhaps for the exhibitions, a variant of it could be like the Choose Your Adventure book with a random array of rewards so people don't choose the optimal route. That's an interesting idea. I mean, those are challenging things to balance, but yeah, I mean, I can pass it along. Ideas are ideas, so the thing I always find funny is every time I think I have a great idea for the game, and like I flesh it out, and then I give it to Justin. He's like, "Oh yeah, I've already thought of this." I'm like, "Oh, all right." So, if any of these are ideas that Justin haven't thought of, then that would be awesome. Yeah. All right. Let's see if they have got me the info. Oh. It looks like this weekend's buff, this weekend coming up, will include Bruenor, Jarlaxle, Keelik, Ashara, and Catti-brie. I don't know the name of it. But yeah. Keelik and Ashara. There's got to be some kind of something feathery or bird or Aarakocra related for that if we've got both our Aarakocra in the same one. So, yeah. Isn't the Dragon Heist MacGuffin and Trapped Aboleth? Oh, Erica says the weekend's buff is called Feathered Friends Weekend. So, yeah, Keelik Ashara. Huh. Is the MacGuffin in Dragon Heist a Trapped Aboleth? Is it? Is that what it is? Sorry, it's been a little while. I mean, that might be a spoiler for starters. It's been so long since I've read that part of the book. I think it is. I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah. It was the thing that knew the route to the thing, and then, yeah. Alrighty. Do we have plans to translate the game into other languages? No, we do not have any plans to announce related to localizations at this time. Crazy random champion idea. Kenku Illusionist Wizard, whose ultimate copies another character's ultimate at random for you when you want some more RNG on the field. I mean, that's a good idea, but like there are a couple ultimates that are categorically extraordinarily powerful, and if you ever had two of them, that'd be real bad. Are you kind of out of luck if you for the challenges if you don't own that many non-evergreen champions? Well, Bruenor, Jarlaxle, and Ashara are all core champions that everybody has. So at worst, you have 3 of the 5. Alrighty. Feathered Friends, Catti-brie, because she shoots them or has their feathers on her arrows. That's amusing. Yeah, well, you know, what can I say? It's that one's on Chris. Snacker the Shark. Is there ever planned for an animated bestiary or enemy/tactical enemy art/tactical details on monster special abilities? If I had one gripe, it's that when I tackle tough event bosses, I don't know what they can do exactly. Just started playing. Apologies if the Steam version already has these sorts of features. No. I mean, so you can mouse over the monster, and it'll tell you what type of monster it is. But that's about it. In terms of making a like an animated bestiary, like something where like a character, you can click on a monster and it's got a window where like the monster's floating there and it tells you its name and all the stuff that it does. That's a huge potential system that we're not looking at doing. I mean, it's an interesting idea. Oh, excuse me. Running out of steam from caffeine. Because it's tea time, and I heard people on the other side of the wall go and get their coffee for their afternoon break. But I'm enjoying my time here with you. So, okay. So yeah, do we have plans for an animated bestiary? No, we don't. It's not that it's something that'll never happen, but yeah. Can you make it possible to copy the text from the journal so that it can be translated later? I could pass that along to the team, but I'm not optimistic about it. Which ultimate would you rate super duper crazy, must never happen, twice powerful? Spurt's ultimate is nuts. So if it got copied and you had two of them, that would be... Well, except maybe it wouldn't. I mean, if it copied that exact alt, then it wouldn't be that much. But any of the alts that offer an incredibly powerful buff, that if you doubled that buff or more, would be broken, would be one that is too good to have going off more than once. If they multiplied off themselves, it'd be nuts. Who else? Yeah, it's weird. So, like, because all the ultimate abilities are so categorically a part of a champion's designer kit, and like they take a lot of that stuff into account, like if another character copied them, they wouldn't necessarily work. Like, you know, Doom, the Doom buff, the Song of Doom that my boy Deacon does. If another character cast it, they don't have a Doom buff to max out, so it would do nothing. And like you get the effect of how hard the ultimate hits. But yeah, it's I don't know, like it really depends. Yeah, it really depends. But like Deacon's buff and Deacon, well, both the Kobold buffs are pretty bonkers good. So in theory, if you had those buffs and you were doing them, multiplying them off each other and stuff, it'd be absolutely ridiculously good. Already been playing for a couple months, but only found out about unlockable characters quite late. Dritz and Azaka. Could the achievements be visible from the start? I'm not sure what you mean by that. Yeah, I mean, if you're on Steam, the unlocked Dritz achievement is just there. Yeah, like, I'm not sure what you mean by that, Stonji. Like, are you wanting it to be... I guess I'm trying to wrap my head around what exactly it is that you would need to have seen in advance. Yeah. Why are the 3 new DLC packs coming after the Steam sale and not during the sale without the discount? Well, I mean, you know, we're offering Steam DLC on sale as part of the Steam summer sale. Not all sales are equally launched at the exact same time across all platforms. You know, so players who look at, you know, the DLC page for Idle Champions on Steam right now will see all the stuff that's discounted, and they'll see the stuff that's coming soon, and then next week it'll be here. Yeah, it's just kind of that's how the timing worked out. Has there ever been a character that's a Fae? Well, Volanya is an Eladrin, and Eladrin are basically the most Fae elves that you can be. Yeah, but like an actual fairy character out of our champions, no, we don't have one. Kaleido Dragon. Why don't Dritz, Hitch, and Azaka have any achievements? I've looked through the achievements and I haven't seen any for them. We never made any for them. Yeah, that's really it. How are the lunchtime campaigns going? I can only speak to one of them because the other one I'm not participating in. The lunchtime Curse of Strahd campaign that myself, Alexis Cat, and Nick play in with Adam DMing, Adam, our art director. We have entered the Amber Temple in the Curse of Strahd campaign. And if you don't want any spoilers for that campaign, you can not listen for the next 10 seconds. But we're in the Amber Temple. We're making our way through it. My rogue sorcerer is exploring the temple, like just kind of rooting through secret doors and other rooms, while our druid is trying to get to their staff that they left in one room, and they're just getting nuked by spells by something that was waiting for them. And it's been really funny and interesting, and I don't want to spoil it. But there's like flaming skulls and stuff. Like the Amber Temple is no bullshit. It's a dangerous dungeon. It's not massive, but it's dangerous. Alrighty, follow-ups, Justin. I know a full bestiary is pretty much out of the question, but it'd be nice to have a better explanation on what a boss enemy does, like dragons and the Baba Yaga. Plus, it'd be nice to have it easily identifiable, the minimum damage threshold to take off a chunk of armor. Yeah, those are all fair points, Giant Dwarf. I'll pass it along. Let's see. Which champions from each of the roles, DPS, support, tank, healing, gold find, would you pick as your current favorites? I am a huge fan of Keelik. I really like Keelik's design. And I'm a huge fan of Korth. Just because it's something different. Like, not that Celeste is bad. I really like Celeste, but I like the more we explore other ways to support the party, the more interesting I personally find it. And I think Korth is a really interesting step in that direction. And for all the other ones, I'd say Paulton. Will they ever be on sale again, the DLC? So our DLCs, you know, like there's a pretty regular cadence of going on sale. So if like you're waiting for something specific, like a decrease in the price for a pseudo dragon or what have you, it's you know it's happened before. It'll happen again. You know. So, you know, I don't know how else to put it. The only other thing DLC related I have to say is that the Explorers pack, which is our most discounted pack that offers the most for, you know, the lowest price that can be. Not only will it never go on sale, it is actually going to be retired this summer, sometime soon. So, yeah, just keep that in mind. If you're ever going to prioritize your buying, that's the one. The others kind of, their sales come and go depending on the time of year and what's going on. Yeah. Oh, sorry, Founders Pack. Yeah, did I say Explorers Pack? Yeah, I need my afternoon tea. Normally, I'm drinking tea right now, and I was in a rush this morning, and I didn't make tea, and this water is not it's not cutting it. Yeah, I'm gonna go get tea as soon as the stream ends. Sorry about that, but yes, the chocolate mint herbal tea. That sounds like a bit much. I tend to, I grew up. I mean, I may be half Hawaiian, but I grew up with British raised parents and British grandparents. So I drink like Earl Grey. Yeah. And like it. I drink it and like it. I drink it like pretty much every day. Yeah. Although I do like mint teas just as something to drink. Yeah. Anywho. Yeah, Garwar is actually... So Garwar just said, Korth has 5 abilities. It's okay if one's not great. That's kind of one of the things that we look at, like, you know, we want champions to have at least a few abilities, but we also don't want... We don't want champions to have too many abilities. It's okay. We're okay with experimenting with one of them if a champion has an abundance of abilities like Korth does. Korth has 5, so we're pretty happy with it. Thunder Remix. Was there a code hidden in the stream? I can say that there is a code hidden in this stream. Silisa question. Have you ever used Korth's Strength Before Death ability? I have no idea, Silisa. I tend to leave my game passively playing in the background, minimized. So, yeah. I suspect the times that it has come up in my formation, because Korth is never near the front, have happened during a party wipe. So, yeah. GU Comics. Didn't think it would happen, but Keelik and Korth both have become a core part of my base lineup. Yes. Yes. Glad to hear it, GU Comics. And also, thank you for the comics you've made. I mean, my favorite one is still Warden, because Warden is my beautiful Eldritch baby. But yeah, it's cool. It's just I'm happy to see it anytime it happens. And though actually that's not true. That one was amazing. The one with Eric jumping into a money bin, like Scrooge McDuck's money bin, is also one of my favorites. That's such a great image. Yeah. Alrighty. That brings up a question. Are there plans to retire the Explorers pack in the future? Okay, so sorry for misspeaking. I don't know if there are plans to retire the Explorers pack. If we are to retire DLC, we definitely want to make sure that we're having a conversation about it with our players first, and that there is communication about it before DLC potentially disappears. The only DLC we right now have plans to definitely retire is the Founders pack. So, yeah. In a free-for-all battle royale, which champion in the game do you think would be the last one standing? A druid. Druids are OP. It's the temp HP from Wild Shapes, man. So whether it's Gromma or it's Tyrell, one of them is coming out on top. It's just the way that it goes. Sorry. Yeah. Although, Archon's pretty potent. I'm kind of surprised that Korth was put in slot 2 and touted as a Kron support when Donar was already a pretty good buffer for Kron. That's true. However, Donar is not evil, and Korth is so evil. So, yeah. I love you guys as a company. The game is just cherry on top of that. Oh, thank you. We appreciate it. Yeah. Glad you're enjoying it. Yeah. Feels good, man, is not a code. Godzilla strikes again. Archon. Oh, votes for Archon now, huh? Yeah. Let's see. Oh, I need to scroll down to read these. What subclass that hasn't been turned into a champion yet are you personally anticipating the most, and why is it an Azamar Death Cleric? I think subclasses offer a remarkable amount of variability in how you can approach the idea of different character classes. Because the character classes themselves tend to be like really base archetypes, like fighter. Okay, what is a fighter? Well, a fighter is a spectrum of things that involve, murdering things with weapons. I mean, I'm personally always interested in seeing more of what we don't have. I lean heavily towards Warlocks because I like them, but we've already got a Hexblade Warlock, so I'm pretty happy. I would like to see things like a Drunken Master Monk, or there's a lot of rogues already. Probably one of the other types of druids. A Circle of the Spores druid would be really interesting. Like a druid that's just made of fungus. Not unlike the one that Kat played on the Dungeon Drunks, How We Roll, and crap, I'm forgetting the last one. Podcast. The 3 podcasts that we did. Dungeon Drunks, How We Roll. Why can't I remember the third one? Lauren, you're in chat. What was the third one? Anyways, Kat played her Eladrin Circle of the Spores druid, named Hemlock, which is a really interesting design that I would love to see. What were the numbers at the start of the stream? So we had a countdown timer that was running that for some reason, instead of when it counted down to 0 displaying the message that it always does, like rolling for initiative, it counted down to 0 and then just changed to the 24-hour clock recounting back to the exact same time tomorrow. So that was a bug. I don't know. The timer that we use for it, it's done that 2 or 3 times in 85 episodes. It just every once in a while does it. Any updates on the duplicate shiny issue? For example, duplicate shinies don't really give a commensurate reward for their rarity. No, they don't. No, I don't have an update on it. It's like, keep in mind, Silisa, that is an issue that affects a disproportionately tiny percentage of the player population. So that's going to be a lower priority than a lot of stuff. But it's something that we're aware of. I don't know if there's an ETA on it, but it's something that we're aware of. What about a gunslinger champion? That's kind of very much a critical role thing, Scarab Phoenix. Like, and for those of you who haven't looked into it, Matt Mercer has released a number of awesome subclass options, among other things, on like DM's Guild and through other ways. And the gunslinger class is one of them. It's a extremely potent fighter subclass that uses a whole bunch of stuff that is a little bit of a harder thing to fit into a regular like Forgotten Realms campaign, but obviously if you're playing in Exandria or something, it's a lot easier. Guns are canon and canon. That's funny. Anyways, so it's unlikely for us because the firearms that are in official 5e printed TRPG books are pretty limited. Like there is the there are the smoke powder weapons that Bragan Dareth has in the Waterdeep Dragon Heist book, and that's practically it. It's not something that pops up a lot. So a champion that it revolves around using magically infused gunpowder type weapons isn't super likely. It's not impossible, but it's not likely, I guess is the way I should leave it. Despite the large number of rogues, there are never enough. What would you think of a mastermind rogue being added? That's a great question, Wade Wilson, and something that I may or may not have thrown together a mastermind rogue champion design at Chris at one point. I have no idea if it'll ever happen, but I did throw one at him. Has there ever been any internal discussion of an artificer hero coming to the game? Sorry, just any internal. Yes and no. It's so every once in a while it kind of comes up. If it hasn't been printed in a 5th edition book, like a 5th edition book published by Wizards of the Coast, the chances of our putting it into the game kind of decrease a lot. The Artificer is not something that has had that. Now, it's clear that Wizards of the Coast, or that the D&D team, want the Artificer champion Artificer class to work because they keep iterating on it. I think the 3rd version recently came out, and like each time it keeps coming back. It's got some legs, and it's it definitely feels like it fills a niche that needs to be there. When it gets a little bit further along, it's possible, but it's not something that we're fixated on at the moment. Yeah. Would love a necromancer who could bring back fallen champions each time they're defeated. It's an interesting idea. I got a suggestion to pass on the dev team. Super rare distractions that give really nice rewards if you spot them. Flying cows, secret dungeon doors and traps, flumps, treasure goblins. Give us compulsive rat/crow clickers some love. I'll pass that along. There is the golden crow. Like, you guys have seen the golden crow, right? If you click the golden crow, that's the real reward that you get. That one, oh man. What about the fix for overleveled slot 6 gear, as that is already an issue for me on multiple champions when they eventually drop? Yeah, it's I don't have an update on that topic from Justin, except to say that it's something that we're aware of. Yeah, we are aware. That's kind of at this point, unfortunately, the best you can do. Is that real? Is that a real thing or a joke? Yes. Sorry, I'm trying to pull up the thing. Okay. Need more golden crow. Yeah. The DMG has a whole page on firearms, which unironically includes laser rifles. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Yeah. It's true. There are all different kinds of firearms that are more or less balanced for 5e that you can potentially use just out of the published 5e books. But it's not something that's really a part of any of the Forgotten Realms campaign adventures. So unlikely. Upside down crows and parrots. Hey, we already did that once, and people thought it was really weird. So I don't know if we're going to go back to upside down birds again. That's kind of a different thing. I kind of want to cut into this box and have a closer look at these.
That's cool. The camera can't focus on those things very well, but yeah. Oh man. Huh. Cool. Cool minis. Well done, Critical Role. Oh, I see. There's actually a Pumat Prime and 3 Pumat Sols. Well, that's pretty wonderful. Cool. Oh, you should make an Arda Fisher champion, and all he does is fish. Oh, it'd be even better if he was a Triton, right? Yeah, these are the Steamforged ones, Garwar. Yeah. At least I assume that's what the SFG logo is. Yeah. Alrighty. I'm trying to think of what else to cover because I think we've gone over everything today. Because usually I have a guest that fills up some of my stream time, but everybody in the office is too busy for that today, and we're trying to get some stuff done because next week is a short week, which maybe I should talk about a little bit before we get there. This coming Monday is the Canada Day holiday for us folks up here in Canada. And obviously Thursday next week is July 4th, which I don't know, some Americans, I guess, might consider celebrating by making a lot of noise. So that kind of puts us on a unique little timeline for next week. The Codename Entertainment office is closed this coming Monday for Canada Day. And because of that, we will not be here. We will not be doing anything. It means that we're doing... Tuesday becomes Monday. So Tuesday, July 2nd is when we kick off everything, which means we will not be doing a community Q&A on the subreddit on Tuesday the 2nd because all of our Monday meetings, kickoff stuff, planning, etc. is all getting pushed onto Tuesday. And then all the other stuff that we would normally be doing on Tuesday is also on Tuesday. And so the community Q&A is one of the things that's getting... canceled for next week. However, we will have one following week on Tuesday on July 9th. So that's the next subreddit Q&A. We are still planning to stream on Thursday, July 4th, 1 week from today. However, that hinges on a few things, and we're going to talk it out with our team members over at the D&D because, I mean, we're not quite sure how many people are going to be working or doing anything related to it on that day. So just to let you know, we do plan to stream in a week, next week, 1 week from today, but that may change. So yeah. You could just discuss some of the recent community stuff. Well, that's a soft plug for yourself, Mars, if I ever saw one. Question, Cathris's efficient bookkeeping or Velvet Touch? I think in most cases and most formations, you're going to use Velvet Touch just because it's difficult to line up your intended DPS target with Cathris being as far away as possible. Now, that being said, I did have one formation, an event formation, where I was able to line up Archon perfectly usurping Cathris's buff while using efficient bookkeeping, while also having my lowest DPS champion be Warden, so that Warden would get buffed to do Archon's damage, and then Warden would go in and hit a boss 3 times. And it was just like, it was amazing. And I kind of want to try and set that up again, but it was a hard thing to put together, and it was event specific. So yeah. Can we wait for new races and synergies with the current ones? If so, would it be in the medium or long term? So I wouldn't. I'll tell you what. This is what we're focused on right now. There's an event coming out next week called Founders Day. It's the second year of the event. It's the event in which you can unlock Deacon Scalesinger. Pretty darn good champion. Doom. And you will also be able to unlock and earn equipment for Walnut Dawngrass from Acquisitions Incorporated, the C team. So that's supposed to start next Wednesday. Ish.
intend to target. So that's what we're focused on right now. We're trying to make sure everything's ready for that. That event will be running for a few weeks, and then we have another update coming after that we will talk about closer to then, but which includes a bunch of stuff that we know players really want, but we're not ready to get into it yet, just because if something changes and some feature that somebody really wants, it doesn't end up making it, we don't want to disappoint people. So we'll be talking about that, week after next. Next week is very much the week of. Next week is very much the week of Walnut Week. Yeah, Amy's character finally making it to the game, which is funny because out of the cast members of the C team, Amy is the one who's been playing Idle Champions for a long time and knows the most about the game and plays it the most. And so it's just funny that timing wise it lined up that Walnut got to be the final one. But Walnut's coming next week. We're excited. I like it when champions can shapeshift, and Walnut. If an enemy gets up close to Walnut and hits her, she turns into a direwolf and gets shielding and stuff. It's awesome. It's super awesome. I see that Erica is sharing community stuff through the Discord chat right now. Erica is C&E Games, which I'm noticing is that it still has access to the mod tools, right? Yeah. Okay. Good. So we have a few things that have come out in the last week and a half, 2 weeks that are of note, above and beyond like just the event guides and character guides that Silisa and Garwar always do, which thank you for. We had one of our players, Troll Zoku, post a guide for new players on the subreddit that they have been continuing to iterate on. It is now included in the subreddit sidebar. Our subreddit is at reddit.com/r/idlechampions. So if you're a new player or you're curious about aspects of the game, I suggest checking that out. Silisa made a guide after yesterday's update that includes a preliminary look at what the most recent upgrade cap increase has done to the meta for Idle Champions. As I was talking about earlier on the stream, it more or less maintains a lot of the status quo, but a few things may change depending on, obviously results may vary, right? Like depending on what your equipment is and what your favorite formation. And finally, the other big one was Mars, Community Mars, Storyteller Mars. Spent a lot of time putting together a guide to unlocking Azaka as a free player, and it's worth looking into just because it's a lot of data. It's an intense amount of data. Yeah. All right. Is the Mimic with the bow coming back this Founders event? I can't comment on that yet. We're not ready to talk about what we're going to do with our anniversary celebration for this year. Let's see. If I bought the Founders Pack and waited to open them until after I finally unlock her, referring to Azaka, would the chest potentially contain stuff for her, or are the chest contents set the moment you buy them? Chest contents are determined at the time you open the chest. So if you have a pack of chests that you've, from buying the Founders Pack, or from buying a stack of 50 gold chests, if you hold on to them until after you unlock Dritz or unlock Azaka or Hitch, when you open those chests, that's when it looks at the gear. So yeah, you would find out then. Zyrian, Plunk. It's hard to read questions when there's a raffle going on. So I only have one question. Is Donar OP like Ryan demanded? Donar is a very, very unique champion in that, in some contexts, yes. You can use Donar's command ability to cheese some fights. A good example being, I forget which one of the events it was. One of the first few events. Sorry, the autumn winter events. I forget which one it is. Has a boss at a relatively low level that is like this undead that has an AOE strike, and you know, depending on what your favor is like, by the time you get to them, you probably can't even afford like your slot 5 champions yet, so you don't have Calliope's shield, and so you can get wiped easy. But what Donar can do is he can command the enemy to run away or to stop or whatever, and so like you greatly delay the time in which it takes for that enemy to get to your formation, giving you an opportunity to kill them before they can do any of that bullcrap. And yeah, Donar is amazing for that kind of thing. And there's some other scenarios like that where Donar is amazing. Yeah, Juggernaut, for example. Yeah, the Jade Juggernaut in the Tomb of Annihilation, Tomb of the Nine Gods. So Donar is nuts for that stuff. So yeah, Donar is good. OP? No. But awesome. Yeah. As he should be. Totally awesome. Do you ever feel that Donar is a touch self-sabotaging? Drop an acid puddle, scare enemies out of it. Yeah, it's annoying. But what you can do is, like, so I find that I tend to be very careful with how I use Donar's acid breath / acid puke. God, that animation where he's like, it's awful / good to look at. Yeah, it's about timing, making sure that you're using it in at the right time. Yeah, it's kind of the best way to do it. Donar ult plus Minsc ult equals melted armor boss. Yeah, well, like Donar's ult is amazing for armor bosses. If they've run up to your formation and they're there and they're in your face, and like you use all of your, you use all of your ultimates in an order to make sure that you stack up all the buffs, and then you use all the ones that do damage and such. Donar's is awesome then, because like he just drops it down and you just watch their armor break and disappear on them. It's really, really, really good. Yeah. And it looks like our raffle draw is about to end. So please sign up if you're going to. Because yeah, the air in here, my throat's starting to dry out. I'm gonna wrap up the stream a little bit early because it's starting to kill my throat. And hopefully I don't have whatever Chris is at home with right now, some kind of sore throat nonsense. Oh man. Wolfnut hashtag, or sorry, exclamation mark Wolfnut. Yeah. And while you guys are doing that, I'm just gonna actually start wrapping this up a little bit now. Not to do it too early, but just a little early. So it is Thursday, June 27th today. We do have a stream next week on Thursday, July 4th, although it's very much TBD because, hey, if nobody's online and nobody's watching, then maybe we don't need to, but we intend to stream on next week. Monday is we're closed in the Codename Entertainment office, so you won't catch any of us from on the Discord, or at least actively on the Discord, unless we're on at home. Yeah, for Monday, July 1st for Canada Day. And it'll be a bit of a frantic week, making sure that Walnut and Walnut's event are all done, ready, out. Everybody's playing it. Everybody's happy. Things aren't bugged and broken, in a shorter window because of it. So we will catch you all then. So, yes, thank you all for joining us. Beyond showing up for the stream, like clicking on the link in the game, or remembering to come to the D&D Twitch, or just you're already hanging out here because you were watching something else, or you're going to be watching something else, or you're a huge Kate Welch fan and you're going to watch her play video games in 10 to 15 minutes. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for participating and for being a part of the Idle Champions and the Dungeons and Dragons communities, or both, or whichever part you're part of. It's really cool to have you here. You guys are awesome. This show exists because of a large number of really cool people. It says that Kate's on vacation this week. Okay, well, so then it's probably just that unpopular show that comes on after coming up after this. So yeah, this show exists because of a number of amazing folks behind the scenes, including my co-producer Erica, who is doing so remotely from home, as well as our partners at Dungeons and Dragons: Greg, Bart, Pelham, Allison, Xiaoling, Lisa. Critical Role is coming up next up at 7. So have a wonderful weekend, everyone. Yeah, I am gonna wait and see who the winner is from this here raffle, and congratulate them, and then I'm gonna call it a day. Well, not a day, but call it a show. It was a show. Thanks for joining the show. Yeah. Just waiting for the draw. Did I miss the draw? Who got it? It's closed. Oh, there it is. Fidec. I missed it. I knew it. It scrolled past too fast on me. Okay. All right. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks a lot, everybody. Have an awesome weekend. And yeah. Cheers.